Здрасте.
Привет.
Привет, привет.
О, сейчас я подключу свои наушники.
Всем привет.
Как дела?
Привет.
Привет.
Мне тут какой-то покрасивее бэкграунд выбрать. Мы же не в лайве, я так понимаю, еще.
Хочешь, тебе свой бэкграунд одолжу. Бэкстейдж.
Бэкстейдж. Ты... Может, в эту сторону симпатичнее будет. Главное, чтобы видно было.
Главное, у тебя очки зачетные. Мне нравится.
Спасибо, спасибо. Я все-таки сюда сяду.
А там свет слишком...
Да, потому что свет попадает. Угу.
Вот. Да. Про адженду или про, в принципе, про наш план на этот созвон расскажи, пожалуйста.
А он же этот отметил. Compliance and DeFi. Вот как раз.
Нет, да, это супер, да, это прям наш hot-topic. Я не об этом, я говорю про расписание, график, как вообще по времени, когда, что. Я спланировал свои дальнейшие там встречи.
Ну, где-то будет час примерно. Я правильно понимаю, ты сейчас про настоящий сессион говоришь, то, что сейчас будет проходить адженда?
Ну да, я просто
где? Да, ну где-то час. Ну, обычно, ну, всегда по-разному, это зависит, ну, насколько, то есть тема.
Обычно не больше часа.
Ну, обычно, да, не больше, 45 минут, something like that.
Хорошо.
В смысле, обычно не больше часа весь колл на всю адженду. Ну, то есть там сколько? Раз, два, три, четыре, пять.
Hey
5 топиков. Hello, Владислав.
Hi.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Раз, два, три.
We can hear
Yes,
you.
Vlad, we can hear you.
Yes.
Всем привет. Или всем hello.
Guys, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Vlad.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, do you hear me now? Okay,
Yes.
very good. There was some issue. Zoom for some reason didn't see my mic. All right, guys. So welcome at our 48th weekly DeFi governance call. So we have a very interesting agenda for today, and then a guest, a special guest who will tell us about a very interesting topic about the compliance in the DeFi sector. We will come to this in a while when I will present our guest. But let's traditionally begin from the contest updates. So actually, we have finally finally, from the third attempt, we have finished the stTON contest, and we finally got a quorum, and now it's time for calculation of votes. But so far as I can see, the threshold has passed, so I can finally congratulate Anton with winning first and single place in this contest. And I also, together with other governance members, planned the call with him to discuss the future development of the stTON concept. And also some other participants of the DeFi sub-governance also already took a step ahead, and as far as I can see, started integration of this concept, but I will keep this for a while, so they will tell it themselves. Actually, this leads us to the discussion of the payment session planning. Hopefully we will do this early next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. So we will discuss this with our payment group, and we'll arrange the payment. And after the call with Anton, so we will decide on if we need additional iteration of the contest for the implementation and integration stage, for example, or this is fine by now, and he will do it as is. So speaking about other contests, actually the Validator Oracle contest has passed into the voting stage, and so please, if you are a juror in this contest, do not hesitate to go there and check one submission. So I really hope that it will be a bit more, taking into account that we prolonged it several times. Yeah, so please do. Speaking about other contests, so we have the DEX stage 3 underway. So there are still 11 days left for the submissions, and also the Ethereum bridge. But I can already tell now that unfortunately Brox's team is extremely occupied now with the deployment of the second version of the bridge in the mainnet, and so we are not able to prepare the submission now, so and most probably will not be able to dedicate some time to this in the coming 2 weeks, because we will be performing a lot of checks and to make sure that everything works fine on the mainnet. And we will get back to this topic maybe at the next meeting or a meeting after. And also the free TON self-sovereign identity framework stage 2 still underway, so there are 22 days left. Yeah, so nothing to tell about this for now. Now let's come to the topic with our invited guest. So please welcome Sasha Antropov, who is a co-founder of the Purify startup, so and a very good background track in different AML systems, including AML Bot, Shisha Finance, Casper Labs. So yeah, please, Sasha.
Hey guys, hey everyone. Hi Vlad. Thanks for the intro. Glad to be here and saying hi to everyone on the call. I already see some of the familiar faces here. So glad to be here. Yeah, so Purify is a startup, is our latest, essentially is our latest development, trying to solve a growing or a growing problem that we see in DeFi space. Originally, this project came to life as a result of our work at AML Bot. So my partners are the founders of AML Bot and Safe. And essentially, we started receiving over the last, I don't know, year or two, we started receiving a lot of inquiries from just people, investors and retail investors that somehow they utilize DeFi for the sexy returns, and they went on a centralized exchange and their account was blocked because like the AML risk was high. So those people were coming to AML bot and asking questions what they could do to unblock it. And we started realizing with the growing narrative from all the regulators around the world that the focus right now is really on DeFi. And we started digging into the problem, and looks like we found the core of that problem, and started working on a solution to help conscious DeFi investors, participants, projects, and institutional investors to be able to interact with DeFi market, with DeFi services or instruments, and mitigate risks that there are already associated with some of the projects, with coins that have high AML risk score. As scary and harsh as this could sound, DeFi, compliance, and AML all together in one sentence, being at a certain extent as a crypto anarchist at heart, but being a realist in life, we understand that the reality is that all the financial institutions, regulators, TradFi organizations won't allow the DeFi sector to grow substantially unless there are certain understandable procedures in place. And I'm referring to AML. I wouldn't touch the topic of KYC because that's a sensitive topic as well, especially for DeFi space. But I'd rather focus on AML and the necessity of that in order to have two industries like the alternative finance, which we love and which is what DeFi is in reality, and the traditional finance or legacy finance to actually merge. And in my opinion, or in the opinion of our team, the only way for real mass adoption to happen is to enable traditional finance boys, large organizations from legacy financial systems to actually interact with DeFi, but safely. And once this happens, then we can actually start saying that the real mass adoption is on the way. So that's on a very high level overview of what are we working on and what is the long goal, like long mission and goal that we're working on. I don't like shameless self-promotion. It's more of a idea to discuss the problem that is that exists and that shows it's actually growing substantially every month, and it is more of a sharing our experience and overview of what's been going on within the AML space and DeFi and generally within the regulators, and giving some of the examples of how the narrative from core participants of this space, without naming the actual companies or players, but I guess you will all probably understand who I'm talking about. Like one of the biggest, as a good example of how important this problem is right now for large organizations in DeFi. One story. So 6 or 7 months ago, when we were just working on a concept, forming the concept of Purify, we were discussing with a few strategic entities who we wanted to see as potentially investors or partners. And again, without naming names, those were like the biggest DEXs. I would say like an aggregator, and I believe you'll connect the dots. And so we were discussing with them about the partnership, and back then they were like saying, "Oh no, hell no, we don't need that. Why would we need compliance? Why would we need AML? We don't really care. There is no regulator is not gonna come. And even if they do, we're not an entity. We're just a bunch of smart contracts. They can't do anything." So then fast forward 6 months later, now we are discussing with them about actual collaboration and integrating our products that are currently being developed, but integrating our product for its core purpose, enabling those organizations to actually filter incoming liquidity or incoming assets with high AML risk score. And more to that, like, so the narrative within the last 6 months changed dramatically. And we already see in parallel, we already see the companies like Aave and Compound are already launching institutional grade liquidity pools with AML, KYC, and custody solutions. And that is together with the actual situation, like, you know, on the ground, we see that this is already a growing trend that for coming month, there's more and more DEXs, bridges, liquidity pool operators, lending, borrowing protocols. Everyone's starting to think about the need to kind of, you know, make sure that the assets that are actually being, you know, stolen or some, you know, illicit funds associated with dark web, they're actually not participating in their pools.
Do you think that's do you think that's we are coming to a moment when popular liquidity pools will be separated into two big chunks? So the one pure and innocent, I would say, for big companies to interact with this huge market, and other is for crypto anarchists or cypherpunks who doesn't care about the quality of the crypto, but they value the privacy and they how to put it, and security of the funds more. So and wouldn't that harm the overall business of those DeFi operators?
That's a very good question, and I think this is a spot on the trying, like, what's really happening lately. What we see and what we feel, and all of our investors and the people who we speak from the institutional background, like, you know, hedge fund operators, pension fund operators, people and entities that have hundreds of billions and trillions under management. People who have nothing to do with crypto, except they probably have some exposure in, you know, on a personal capacity. And everyone agrees that there will be a very clear distinction from entities in the DeFi space who will take on the new regulation that is coming, who will comply and who won't. And it looks like for companies, in order to reach high TVL and in order to onboard institutional assets or funds, they will have to kind of de-anonymize their wallets. They will have to comply in a certain way and check the AML risks for their investors. And for the projects who won't, just basically will remain, you know, will remain in the underground. And I'm not saying this is bad. This is good for both sides. In my opinion, like, the more regulators come in and start saying, you know, you have to comply and this and that, start creating like the really strict rules, or at least try to create those strict rules, the more technology for anonymous coins, you know, mixers, all of that stuff will evolve even further. So I don't think it will be a bad thing. I think it's inevitable, and we'll just have to work around it.
Okay, thank you. And another question that I really have in my mind is about what are typical vectors of attack by government agencies will be on the DeFi operators. So, because as you say, they are just a combination of smart contracts, and at maximum they provide some front end to those smart contracts. And even if a company that stays behind the front end will disappear or be blocked in certain regulations, it will not stop those smart contracts from existence. So actually, and anyone, for example, can deploy a copy of Uniswap or SushiSwap interface and interact with those smart contracts still. So how do you think governments will try to approach these problematics?
You mean governments?
Yeah, regulators. So yeah, so those who try to impose certain AML rules. Yeah,
that's a good question. I don't know if I have the correct answer, but my thinking is that we already see how certain agencies from US started to block certain wallets of certain DeFi projects. I honestly not sure how that would, stop, the same companies who are doing, similar activities, because essentially, I mean, they take the ownership of the private keys, or they block the work. They block operation of those projects by confiscating the private keys, which sounds like I don't know. It sounds
weird. Yeah,
sounds weird.
actually,
doesn't sound right. Yeah, and secondly, de-anonymizing of wallets is already happening. I mean, take into account, that chain analysis is only worth a few billion of dollars because of the governmental contracts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their system is actually very sophisticated. We tested. I cannot. Well, I'm not gonna name again the companies because I don't want to create any issues for us in the future. We basically work with AML service providers and utilize their tech. And we can, in real time, we screen the wallets and transactions, and we compare different AML service providers and what the result is. We see that tier 1 or the major, I would say 3, 4, 5 AML service providers. Again, I don't want to publicly, say the names because that would create certain negativity potentially. But anyway, they don't like to be compared, none of them. But we compare them, and we see that one service provider and their result is absolutely completely different from another. So there is no, I would say there is no
benchmark, probably.
Exactly, yeah. There is no benchmark. There is no black or white yet. There is no rule of thumb. We see that an organization, one of the largest organizations, just screens all the addresses that participate with DeFi in the DeFi space. Again, if you participate with Uniswap, your wallet will be automatically flagged as high risk. Right now, that's the reality. It's on everyone's agenda. I mean, among all the regulators, right? FATF, SEC, to find ways how to regulate DeFi space. But we from other angle, we see that ML service providers don't understand what's going on inside. They see any transaction, with associated funds from one of the exploits. They see it as normal, but in the same time, if you interacted with any DEX, you will be flagged.
And that's, by the way, is a really interesting problematics because on one hand, yes, we all know that fraudsters attempt to launder the money through DEXs and some other services, through OTCs and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, there are, if I have some crypto that I absolutely legally purchased, and I would like to purchase another crypto for it that is listed only on DEX. So and for a small portion of my funds, creating the strong link between me and high risk is absolutely incorrect, just because the regulators do not want to dig deeper and try to understand what's going on inside. And on the other hand, DEXs are time to time used as the big mixers. That's true, and that's a raising issue in the world. And I don't really think that anyone can block them. Yeah, because the only way to block all this smart contracts execution is just by stopping the network. So this is the only reliable way to do this, but you cannot stall, for example, Ethereum, because there are so many nodes that support its work. So that means that AML services for DeFi products are more like a reputational step that shows to a big investment guys that it is safe to interact with this DeFi service. And this means that in the coming future, in my opinion, we will see the situation when those ML scanning services, blockchain analysis services, will have to significantly improve the analysis methods.
Exactly.
Just to understand that there are no more just a single DEX, but there are maybe different liquidity pools with a different quality of crypto inside, and yeah, this will complicate the work, of course.
Yeah, I totally agree, Vlad. And before you ended up by saying that AML analytics should improve, which is, I agree 100%. You said something that I wanted to comment on in the beginning, that when you interact with a DEX, regulators will treat you like, like a high risk entity or a person. But essentially, regulators are counting on the analytics data taken from AML service providers, and AML service providers don't know shit about how to regulate, how to analyze transactions.
Absolutely.
Within DeFi. I'm not talking about like analyzing the transactions that are happening inside the DEX, which is doable, but very complicated. But also, like, for them, what is really rocket science is trying to create a system that will essentially unfold what's really going on inside the mixers. There are ways how you can kind of like associate certain transaction when it goes in and out. There is no 100%. And for them, this is kind of like they have to go in, I don't know, tens of thousands light years away in terms of technical development to understand that, because right now a simple transaction can be viewed or labeled as high risk for no reason. So there is like, we realized that when we started working with different AML service providers, different databases, and we realized, like, if we were really to build up a system that would really help individual investors or organizations to say, hey, our risk score is not 10 or is not like 80%. We have the ML KYCs and stuff. So we hope that the system that we're building will also enable reverse engineer that risk score for the entities who want to implement that, and go talk to AML service provider and say, hey, this is actually not a risk, like high risk transaction. And for them, again, like AML is one thing, which is what is important at this, like right now. But further down the road, there also have to be, I expect, I don't like it, but I expect that the KYC will have to be in place as well. And that's a whole different ballpark. KYC, and I like it only because we will essentially come from Web 2.3, 2.0 to 3.0, and self-sovereign identity and DID systems and KYC have to be in place. And I know StTON here is already kind of like
not on StTON, but also Vladimir Kanin
jump
as
in.
well.
Is ready to jump in.
Yeah, I have a quick comment here. I just was on the conference yesterday, and inside Industry Insight, which is public, but I guess someone maybe didn't hear about it. So it's not just us who are thinking about it. It's actually some of the bigger players do as well. So I have a friend who was like one of the initial founders of some SSI companies like 4 or 5 years back. And she was working at MIT. She built this company with educational credentials. And recently, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, she joined the company or organization that is called Center.io. And that is an organization founded by Circle, creator of USDC and Coinbase. And that's exactly the single focus of that organization. I guess it will be non-profit, but they're building a product that will use self-sovereign identity in order to create portable, provable, KYC, AML, payment confirmation, just all type of document that will basically merge these two words. So Coinbase, if you follow the news recently, they had this little bit of tension with SEC.
Are you involved, or are you jealous?
With SEC? No, I'm not.
No. With the center.
I'm gonna have a call with her tomorrow. I'm not involved, but they just started. It's like probably was announced, or it went public last week. But I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to show that cryptocurrency payments can be as transparent and easy to understand for regulators as banking payments, except it's cheaper, faster, more convenient, less friction for the customers. So, and that, I totally agree with you, what you said in the beginning. That would lead to mass adoption. So when regulators understand that it's fine, and when people understand that it is fine and it's actually better, faster, and simpler and more convenient, then we will have everybody.
I have one more point, going back to what Vlad was saying. So also, probably not many people yet think about it or understand, but so if you think on the big guys in DeFi space, like top 5, top 10 projects with TVL, Aave, Compound, along those names, their biggest investors are already institutional entities, but right now they just participate in their lending protocol by generating 13, 15 or 16% APY, and for them this is amazing. But again, if you only participate in those liquidity pools, this is one thing, because they kind of control who's getting in or who's not. But like if you want to go in, and start dig deeper, if you're going degen, then there's like all the money that you will generate there. There is high chance that it will be questioned or it will be blocked, and this is a roadblock for a lot of smaller or bigger institutional investors to coming in into the space. Right now, they're already participating. So my point is that they're already participating in the biggest protocols with managing the risks on their own. And only when Aave and Compound started getting in AML and KYC and custody in place, this is when it opened up the doors for a lot of inflow of liquidity.
Yeah, so there's a moment when you are big enough to when you have to think about such kind of issues. Yeah, thank you so much, Sasha. What are your coming plans in terms of your Purify product? So do you plan to start from the Ethereum and maybe layer 2 solutions first of all, or maybe you are planning also to roll out it to some other networks like Polkadot or Solana or TON? So tell us about it.
Look, right now we are in the process of we are building a product which should be live in the next, I would say, 4 weeks, and that will be a web SDK, like Frontend SDK, that could be connected with DeFi protocols, but and will be connected with our dashboard as well. That will enable DEXs or DeFi projects to screen the incoming liquidity. It will be the filtering of high risk liquidity will only in the first iteration will be realized through Frontend. Like if you get a high risk, then literally the button that says sign the transaction won't work, and it will require a very simple Frontend SDK integration, and we will do the rest. That's that. Right now, I'm personally with my team, I'm working on customer development with a number of entities to make sure that the product we're actually thinking that is needed on the market is actually needed. So that's that. In the meantime, we are working on a service offering that we offer to pre-IDO projects and pre-IDO and IDO platforms for the projects to start from the beginning, before they raise funds, to be conscious about the AML risk of the money that they're receiving in the private rounds. So we are working manually. We're working with a number of projects. Talking about layer 1 or layer 2, for us, probably next week or two, we'll be launching, we'll be releasing news about Polygon. So we're working with Matic quite closely, and we'll be integrating, creating a pair in one of the DEXs there, and some partnerships as well. Those will be announced very, very soon. When you ask about layer 1s, so right now we are on ETH and BSC, but we are in talks with I mean, we already partnered with Casper Labs. Well, it was the lowest hanging fruit, obviously, but we will be utilizing their infrastructure to store some part of our data, non-sensitive data there in their public permissioned environment. We are in talks with pretty much all the major layer 1s, and our product and our business is by providing the AML analytics for projects and retail users. So the more layer 1s we will connect, the better for the entire ecosystem. And therefore, quickly answering your question, we are in talks with Solana, we're in talks with Kava, Conflux, with you guys, with Polka. So the pipeline of integrations is quite big. It's just the bandwidth of our technical team is obviously limited, like with every startup. But yeah, further down the road, I hope that our project will be featured on as many layer 1s as possible. The problem here, though, and this is something that not yet many people understand, the problem is that even if we integrate on a layer 1, which is not ETH or BSC or Bitcoin, for example, we won't be automatically able to perform AML screening, on-chain AML screenings, because as as we discussed with you previously, but it's worth saying, you know, to the rest of the participants, that before any AML screening can happen on chain, the network itself has to go through kind of like a heavy duty work of clustering and indexing their entire chain. And this is something boring and technical, but there should be, for any chain, there should be certain steps before we can actually work with them. And this is something that we're offering as well to some of our, layer one, interested layer ones that like what we do, that they realize that the problem is there. They realize that it's relevant, but they can't really do anything about it. So we're offering them part of the integration. We're offering them to take on this task, which is quite complicated and requires grants, etc. But this is how we form partnerships, essentially, long-term engagements and partnerships.
Okay, thank you very much. So guys, we do have some other questions before we move on. 3, 2, 1.
No questions.
No question. Good. So thanks, Sasha, for attending. Yeah, so it was really pleasant and interesting discussion. So I hope that it will be not the last one. So when we will continue discussing such interesting topics. So now, yeah, we switch to next topic on our agenda. So as you know, there is a Malta Conference coming on, and Alexander this morning just pinged me and asked if we are going to send someone there. So Alex, please, say a few words about this.
Thank you. As you know, or remember, we participated in AIBC Sigma conference in Dubai in May. It was pretty good and helpful. And now the next step, we will have from 16 up to 18 of November this year, the same conference on Malta. And free-ton sponsor, and we have some free place for our members. And in this time, free-ton decided to do it a little bit in our way. Before, we did one contest for all free-ton blockchain, and everybody who want to participate do the submission. Now we decide to change, and every sub-governments will present their participants. The maximum free-ton weight 5 persons from every sub-governance, and compensate these 5% with 3,000 ton crystal for each from them for this conference. But it doesn't mean then if, for example, we decide that we need more participants from our sub-governance, or we need to pay more for them, we can decide it inside of our governments, or discuss or do some proposal. And purpose to present our sub-governance, present our project. What's this DeFi sub-governments and free-ton? What's this DeFi alliance, TON bridge? What projects will be finished now? What we wait? DEXs? What our nearest future? And free-ton wait that we finished with this contents, or how we do it in up to 1st of October. maybe this is term will be prolonged, but they ask, can you finish to this term? And for example, some in other sub-governments decide to do contest, and some participant can put their submission and explain why they the better member for this conference. We can do in the same way or discuss maybe in another way, maybe more easy or more suitable for DeFi, because we have not only sub-governance, we have a little bit more. For example, we need to talk about TON swap, and we need some representative from DeFi Alliance. And before we start to discuss, and maybe now or later, one big question that we have special rules about COVID. I think maybe it's better if I share screen a little bit.
Yeah, the place I gave the permission.
Okay. Because this is information from Malta organizer from Sigma, and here are some scheme how members, participant in conference, what they need to do about COVID rules. And here, two zones, red zone and dark red zone. For starting, for explain, Russia, for example, and dark red zone. Most of Europe, or maybe all Europe, in red zone. For example, Serbia in red zone, Belarus in red zone, but Russian in dark red zone. If you are in red zone, you need to go by left part here, and if you spend before 40 days in red zone, you lived in, I don't know, in Serbia, in Europe, or was in Belarus, for example, for 14 days before, and you can prove it. And you full vaccinated, it means you don't have much problem. You only must to show your documents about vaccine, and this is vaccine that recognized from public health organization. Unfortunately, Sputnik 5 not in this list, but maybe something changed for now. Even if you in red zone but not fully vaccinated, you will go for another in this scheme another way, and unfortunately you must have 40 days quarantine. Maybe for most of person not suitable. One most big problem in dark red zone, I mean from Russia, for example, you will have 40 days quarantine. Okay, okay, you must to have some PCR, etc., but 14 days quarantine. I send a link to this form, to this scheme, and you can look more attentively. It's mean that maybe in some reason we must to have not 5 person in list for this traveling, maybe more. And if someone cannot to travel because had COVID or not vaccinated, fully vaccinated before 14 days, before 2 weeks, before conference. It's important, one important thing. In this case, if somebody can not travel, for example, in our list, 10 person, we start to choose in our person who will travel. This is one idea how to do for more suitable way, more maybe it's pretty all about this Malta conference. Maybe somebody have comments or ideas how to do better.
Yeah, it's quite a challenging task to get there. Not only speaking about what to do there.
Yes.
Ask to change the place from the Malta to the, I don't know.
Yeah, this was my first proposal. I think the better way will be, to deliver there a big monitor or several monitors with representatives of the DeFi subgov on the other side, and anyone can come and ask any question. So it will be much more productive than to stay 14 days in the quarantine and. Yeah, so this is not something that really is fascinating. I'm in this case surprised that Sigma has chosen Malta for running this conference, and but okay, so this
I think the same rules will be in every European community country. It means that must choose, if not Malta, not European.
They should choose Serbia. So Serbia is a good place.
Yes, a good place, very good.
Especially
but
for Russian citizens.
Serbia, it's easy. Every Serbian person who lived 14 days before Malta conference can come without test without vaccinated certificate.
Yeah. I also see the hand raised. Dmitry, please. So we have something to comment.
Yes, hello. One simple question for Alex. Did you know something for Turkish people if somebody in Turkey for 14 days or longer bit, could they go?
If we look on this page, I sent it already links to our chat here. Chat, I mean, Zoom chat. Here in the down list of red country zone, and if you go on Turkish in red zone, yes, not in dark red zone. In dark red zone, some country like Barbados, Bolivia, and Russia. It's I don't know. I don't have answer. It's some politics, I think, not more.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's about the legacy of the communist.
Yes.
With that word.
Yeah. Okay. So, but frankly speaking, so before we even think about who can go there and if they are permitted to go there, so I propose to think about what are our objectives as a DeFi sub-governance at this conference, and what we would like to set as objectives for ourselves to deliver as a result of this conference. Because last time we've got several good contacts from the conference, but of course there's always something to do better than it was. So what I would propose is for everyone to send their ideas on what can be done, what we can achieve at this Malta conference, and what kind of products or we would like to promote, what kind of projects we would like to hire for TON and invite them to build these solutions here. So in my opinion, we have the DeFi roadmap, and we have some missing bricks in it. So, and like the credit protocol, like the oracles, well, maybe oracles will be fixed, but like the stable coins and some other higher level solutions. And the conference may be a good way to find those teams who would like to join us and help us build those solutions natively on TON. If you have some other thoughts, so please express and just maybe share your thoughts in public in the DeFi group.
I agree with Vlad. Teams and maybe the best idea what we need from this conference. Next big idea, for example, before conference with Anzor, we had some interesting meeting with team from DeFi projects when we can have connection with them and even listed TON Crystal token or more and more. And how I know on this conference they will be the next time, and because now our connections in some way maybe it's stop way. Yes, we try to discuss, but wait 1 month. Maybe it's better to meet them on conference and speak. Maybe to drink something and speak like more in friendly situation.
Yeah, absolutely. To get the informal connections.
Yes.
as I like to name it. Okay.
Partnership. I mean partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys. So we have just one more topic left. So in 7 minutes to talk. So Anzor would like to propose something for our jurors and tell some updates.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello again. I won't take much of your time. It's just in other subgovernance, in NFT subgovernance, there's been a contest recently, and it's a quite an important and complex topic. This contest was dedicated to the Ethereum free TON NFT bridge, and or more specifically to the architecture and design part of this solution. So there's been two submissions there, which are well, let's say they're suboptimal, and yeah, it's really hard to tell that from the jurors votes on those submissions. But if you dive deeper, it will be quite obvious that, well, there's a ready product cannot be made from this. So you can't proceed with this architecture. And of course, it's a complex topic. It's a technical. There's a lot of technical stuff, not rocket science, but I mean, not rocket science, at least for people who are experienced with DeFi, NFT, and blockchain, but still. So the proposal is to, or rather maybe a topic for discussion, is to ask jurors from other subgovernances, such as from more technical subgovernances like developer experience and DeFi, to participate in voting for NFT contests, because well, it's as complex as DeFi in terms of technical stuff, and experience from of the DeFi jurors is very needed in NFT subgovernance for it to go forward. Yeah, I think it will be. I'm not sure how to organize this though. I'm open to discussion for this, but I think this is a very simple and effective solution to help the NFT subgovernance move forward and produce some good results in terms of products and even designs at this stage.
Yeah, actually, I have the answer to you on this. So I just dropped the link. So we actually, if you remember, have adopted the specific regulation on external jurors involvement for the DeFi subgovernance itself, because we still miss smart contract experts, and for certain contests where we would like to track them. So we agreed with the DevX subgov to include specifically the jurors for certain contests. And however, the initial memorandum of the DeFi sub-governance didn't suppose this, so we explicitly adopted the regulation on this. So what I would propose you in terms of the NFT subgov is to just maybe copy this document and just change a few words. And the only things on a procedural standpoint that you will need to tackle is, first of all, to explicitly specify the list of the jurors you would like to invite to the contest. And if I remember it well, so there is a certain limitation on the number of jurors for a contest. It's not very big, so something like 30.
15.
Maybe 32 or a bit more, but maybe they have changed something in terms of a smart contract. And second is that for each contest where you are using the non-standard jury, so you need to ping the interface team for them to deploy the correct set of jurors. And on the other side, it's absolutely simple procedure. In terms of the NFT breach, it was really surprise for me, because we actually have the function in Ethereum breach that can be easily expanded to support NFTs as well. So I have already told this already to Alex that the breach is built in such a way that the only thing you need to do is just to write the adapter for the specific type of content for Ethereum side and for the TON side, and deploy this set of contracts. With a new version that is currently being deployed by Brox's team, you will have the opportunity to run this proposal through the DAO system already, and so we hope that we will manage to get the interfaces done within coming 2 weeks. Well, no promises, but if there will be no interface, it still can be done just through the Tonos calls. So it's not that complex. So of course we will provide with all the instructions. Yeah, and I'm saying this not to promote Brox's breach, but just to say that each breach between two networks is a very, very complicated system and you need to take care of such hell amount of peculiarities that you will not be able to do this without having specific experts and security experts on your side, because we have run already 3 or 4 audits, security audits of our solution to get the the level of security that we consider sufficient. Still there are some minor bugs, of course, that will be fixed in the coming releases, but they cannot lead to the stealing of funds or assets or interrupting the work of the breach. But to do this, so we had to really invest the efforts of more than 10 people for over the course of 6 months. So you can imagine the level of complexity of this stuff. So that's why I personally think that the easiest way to build the NFT breach is to just make the expansion for the existing TON breach IO that will let you to transfer the certain type of content, and then you can easily land all these NFTs wherever you like. So. Yeah, we'll discuss this also in person with Alex next week, just to dig into the details and for better understand how this should work actually. Yeah, and you had some other update as well.
But yeah, I just wanted to add that that we know about security because it's really like a very, very complex topic regarding the taxes and the breaches. We as we started the auditing process for our DAX, it became apparent that there's lots of stuff to cover.
Absolutely, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another announcement, just a short one about it's related to a stTON contest. So at our DeFi Space platform, which is like the evolution of the decentralized exchange that we developed for the contests. We implemented staking certificates supporting True NFT, so that users that stake free TON, TON crystals, can leverage this to get liquidity, even if their stake is locked for a certain amount of time. So they can. This is why we're so obsessed with NFT Bridge as well, because it will allow to transfer liquidity from free TON even further, even if your stake is locked for like 12 months or 48 months or whatever.
In a kind of NFT token, yeah.
Yes. So you can send it, you can sell it, you can use it as a as a collateral, as a collateral. So it's it's really cool. I'm not gonna spend too much time now to talk about it, but just a short announcement. We'll present it later.
Yeah, please, if you have some presentation or maybe some explanatory video, so it will really be nice to see it.
Next
so
time
please just drop it, maybe either to the DeFi group, or maybe we can just schedule some time for you next time to explain more in details.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So actually we are run out of time, so no more time for discussing certain topics for today. So I really want to thank you everyone for coming. So it was really interesting and pleasant discussion this time, as usual, of course. So I wish you everyone a nice weekend and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.